The first knock came at 12:03 a.m., three slow, deliberate thuds that seemed to bruise the thin wood of Emily's door. She sat up with a gasp, the glow from her phone screen washing her room in a cold rectangle of light. Nothing on the display, no calls, no messages. Just her reflection, wide eyes, breath fogging the glass. The building was always quiet at night. The elevator had been dead for months. The exit sign at the far end of the hallway pulsed weakly, as if it too needed sleep. No one came here this late. No one really came here at all. She had chosen the place for exactly that reason, to disappear. The knock came again, heavier, and beneath it, a pressure in the air like the moment before a storm. The silence afterward throbbed. Emily slid out of bed, toes curling against the cold floor, and crept to the door. She pressed her eye to the peephole. No one. Just the corridor, sour yellow light, peeling wallpaper like old scabs. Empty. She forced out a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding and backed away. A laugh almost escaped. Of course, there was no one. This building coughed and popped and sighed at night. Pipes knocked. Floors complained. Houses were just old lungs. Then the third knock hit, and it didn't come from the hallway. It swelled inside the door itself, like the wood had grown a chest cavity, and someone was knocking from within it. The sound made her jaw ache. "Don't answer," she whispered. "Do not answer." A hush spread through the apartment, too complete to be natural. In that hush, a voice slipped between the fibers of the door, soft, measured, intimate. Emily. Her name, spoken with the gentleness of someone calling a sleeping child. She froze, one hand hovering over the deadbolt. No one here knew her name. She had never given it. She'd paid cash, used a mailbox drop, changed her number. She had meant to start over as a blank page. "Open it." The whisper curled through the seam, almost tender. She pressed her forehead to the wood. It was warm. She didn't know why that felt worse than if it had been cold. Her phone buzzed on the floor. A message from an unknown number lit the screen. "Why did you move here?" The letters stared like teeth. Before she could think, before she could delete, another message arrived. "We've been waiting for you." The deadbolt felt like a heartbeat under her fingers. And somewhere beyond the peephole's fisheye lens, the empty hallway held its breath. Emily killed the phone screen with her thumb and listened. The building made one of its wet metal groans, the kind that smelled like rust even through a closed mouth. The voice didn't return. No footsteps, no whispers, just the clock on her microwave ticking a rhythm that didn't match the time. She dared another glance through the peephole. A smear of shadow swam lazily along the far wall, as if the hallway's light had blinked, and then steadied. No figure. No door ajar. Only an envelope on the floor directly beneath her peephole, pressed so close it must have been slid there in the fraction of a second she'd looked away. Her stomach turned. She crouched and pinched the corner under the door. The paper dragged with a dry hiss. On the outside, a short line in blocky black marker, "Do not be the fourth." She almost laughed again, a nervous bark that couldn't climb out of her throat. This was a prank. It had to be. She tore the flap with numb fingers. Inside, a single sheet of paper, folded twice. She opened it and found 3 rules, written with the same brutal block letters. If you hear 3 knocks at 12:03, do not answer. Do not speak your name aloud after midnight. Do not look at yourself in the hallway mirror. She exhaled hard enough to sway the page. Of course, there was a mirror out there, tall and tarnished, leaning crooked at the T in the corridor. She'd glimpsed it once when she moved in, hated the way it swallowed light, and avoided it since. But the second rule, bit hardest, "Don't say your name," the voice had already said it. Her phone buzzed again, a photo this time, from the same unknown number. Her breath snagged as she opened it, a grainy image of her door. Her peephole, central. The timestamp read 12:03. The angle had to be from just inches away. But there was something else, reflected in the peephole's glass bulge, stretched into a fish-eyed tear. An eye. Not hers. The pupil too long, like a slit pulled vertical by gravity. She staggered up, fingers finding the chain, the bolt, confirming every barrier was set. The air pressed against her palms like warm breath through a filter. She swallowed her name instinctively, as if it had risen to her tongue uninvited. Down the hall, something tapped the mirror, delicate as a fingernail, once, twice, 3 times. The sound crept under the door like a spider. Her phone. We're sorry about the others. Emily typed with shaking thumbs. Who is this? The reply arrived instantly, a message that felt like a hand closing over hers. The one's WHO answered. She didn't sleep. She watched the strip of light beneath the door until dawn diluted it to gray. In the morning, the hallway smelled faintly of old pennies and rain. She cracked the door, chain on, and saw the envelope gone. Only a chalky scuff on the floor where it had scraped. The mirror at the T was turned slightly, as if someone had nudged it during the night to aim more squarely down her stretch of corridor. Her landlord, Mr. Kaplan, lived on the first floor and had a hearing aid he never turned on. She found him half asleep in a folding chair by the mailboxes, a newspaper draped over his knees. When she asked about knocks and mirrors, he lifted a shoulder like a shrug had been left there years ago. Old buildings make old sounds, he said. Don't look too hard, and they go away. Did anyone else leave? Emily asked. Recently? He blinked. This isn't a place people stay. Back upstairs, she considered packing. But what would she tell herself? That she was running again because a door had learned to talk? Because a mirror had breathed? She had promised herself she wasn't the person who fled at the first tremor anymore. By dusk, the corridor was a tunnel of nicotine light. A girl in 5B, small, maybe 11, with a chipped purple scooter, rolled past, one sneaker squeaking. She peered at Emily with ancient suspicion. You're new, the girl said. You don't know the rules. Emily tried to smile. I'm learning. You shouldn't say your name at night, the girl said promptly. That's how it keeps you. Ms. Vargas in 7C forgot. She started saying her name into her coffee, so she wouldn't forget she was real. The girl pushed off with her sneaker, the wheel scraping. Now she answers doors that aren't there. How do you know? The girl didn't look back, because I saw her trying to knock from the wrong side. At 11:50 p.m., Emily taped a dish towel over the hallway mirror's seam under her door, as if that would matter. She filled a glass with salt from an ancient pantry jar and drew a faint line along the threshold. It felt foolish. She felt foolish. Then the microwave ticked to 12:03, and the foolishness evacuated her body like heat. 3 knocks, measured to the second. Her phone buzzed. If you open, you don't stay you. Another message from the unknown number, a little softer, almost apologetic. But if you don't open, it learns you anyway. The voice at the door arrived like moisture through concrete. Emily, say it for me. She pressed her palms to the wood and whispered into its warmth, No. The voice smiled without sound. You already did. She woke on the floor to the thin blue of early morning, cheek pressed to the wood, as if she'd fallen asleep listening for a heartbeat. The salt line was smeared by the arc of a finger dragged lazily through it. No prints. Just the mark of interruption. Emily made coffee she didn't drink and told herself she would leave by noon. She put clothes into a duffel, stacked her few books, unplugged a lamp. Each small act felt like pulling up a nail from a coffin she hadn't realized she'd been building, but when she reached the door with the duffel strap across her chest, she froze. In the silence bubbled a thought she couldn't place. If you open in daylight, it still counts. She looked through the peephole. The mirror at the T had shifted again, leaning forward as though curious. In its dim body, she found a smudge the size of a hand. It moved. Fingers? No, shadows rearranging themselves into the suggestion of fingers. Her phone chimed. A new message, new number. It's me, don't open. She texted back before she could think. Who are you? A photo came through. Her own face, gaunt, eyes fever bright, staring through the peephole from the hallway side. The caption, "You." She swayed. The rational part of her brain hissed that this was a spoof. Some neighbor with a camera, a bored kid's idea of fun. But the face in the photo carried a knowledge of her she'd never shared. How her left eyelid twitched when she lied. The pale line at her jaw from a dog bite when she was 9. The way her mouth turned cruel in mirrors when she didn't sleep. A longer message arrived, broken by frantic line breaks as if typed with numb fingers. If you answer once, you are kept. Answer twice, you are learned. Answer 3 times, you are replaced. You won't know which you are until you look away. Who is sending these? She whispered. The sound of her voice in daylight felt illicit, like trespassing in a church. The door warmed against her cheek. It's only me, the voice cooed. Why do you keep making it so hard? Just say it right. Say your name. Say it so I can fit you properly. Emily closed her eyes. Somewhere outside, the scooter wheels squeaked. The building exhaled. She remembered something from years ago, standing before a bathroom mirror after a breakup, saying her name aloud to hear if she still believed it belonged to her. She had felt a tiny give in the world then, as if language had tugged at a seam. "Emily," she whispered, then bit it off like a curse. The chain flicked tight on its track, as if something had tugged it from the other side to test the slack. A breath slid beneath the door and came into her mouth like steam. Her phone pinged again. Don't say it, not a third time. She stared at the word third until it stopped looking like language and became a trap. Night returned heavy and humid, the kind of dark that feels like a hand on the back of your neck. Emily didn't draw salt. She didn't tape mirrors. She dragged a chair to the door and sat with her ear against the wood, waiting. Running had never worked. Maybe meeting the shape of the fear where it lived would. Maybe she would become something else, but at least she'd know which. At 12:03, the 3 knocks landed exactly as before, each one a measured breath between heartbeats. She flinched, but didn't move away. "Emily," the voice said, velvet over wire, "open it. Tell me what happens if I do." A pause, as if surprise were an animal the voice had forgotten to feed. "Then you step through. Then you stop worrying about being you. And if I don't?" Then we knock again. We always knock again. We keep knocking until the building learns to say you without you in it. She pictured the girl from 5B, the chip in the scooter's paint like a peeled moon. She pictured Ms. Vargas whispering her name into cooling coffee. She pictured the mirror leaning forward, curious, hungry. Maybe refusing wasn't protection. Maybe it was starvation, for something that would eat down the hall instead. The chair creaked. Emily slid the chain back, turned the deadbolt. The metal sounded ceremonial, like bells in reverse time. She kept her hand wrapped around the knob but didn't pull. "On my terms," she said, and the words steadied her. "I open because I choose. I step through because I won't let you take the kid in 5B or the woman in 7C. You understand me?" The voice made a pleased sound that wasn't human. "I understand you." Emily opened the door. The hallway was wrong. The angles flexed like the inside of a throat. The mirror at the T was closer than it should have been. A dark door pretending to be a reflection. In its surface, 2 Emilys stood, one in the hall, one in the apartment, both thinner than memory. The one outside tilted her head the way Emily did when deciding whether to run or to wound. "Which am I?" Emily asked. The other Emily smiled, tired and bright. "You're the one who knocks." The world folded like paper. Behind her, the apartment stretched away until it lost its edges. Ahead, the hall shortened until the mirror was the only distance left. Emily stepped into the knot space between door and mirror and felt herself become a hinge. She didn't lose her name. It moved somewhere she couldn't touch. The voice was no longer outside. It was the grain of the wood in her teeth, the iron in her blood, the pressure of rooms waiting. She lifted her hand and tapped the mirror delicately. Once, twice, 3 times. Down the corridor, a light flickered on in 5B. A small shape stirred. A scooter wheel squeaked. Her phone, She still had a phone, buzzed with a final message to the number that had warned her. She didn't remember typing it, but there it was, already sent, time-stamped 12:03. We're sorry about the others. Emily faced the nearest door, the one that had been hers and might be again for someone else, and knocked. 3 slow, deliberate thuds. Then, soft as breath under wood, she spoke the name she once kept like a secret. And the building, gentle as a lullaby, answered back.